Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to OpenHour. Today's OpenHour topic is going to be usability feedback for publiclab.org. We've got 10 people on the call so far, although I think 2 of them are me, so maybe 9 people on the call. And we're going to do some brainstorming today. We're going to walk through some different issues people want to bring up, and we're going to try to come up with ideas. There's a notes document. If you go to publiclab.org/openhour, it's the talk page for that page. And Liz has also put it in the chat. You're also welcome to ask questions in the chat room or in the Zoom chat itself. And we'll try to make sure things are reflected. I know there's a number of people on the call who are working on different parts of interface design across Public Lab. So maybe we can go around real quickly and introduce ourselves. My name is Jeff. I think basically everyone, but I work in Providence, Rhode Island in the US, and I work for the Public Lab nonprofit. And in a former life, I was a designer. I would just go around. Bronwyn, you're next on my screen. Mute or unmute. Gotcha.
Hi, so it's good to see everyone.
Oh, Bronwyn, I think we're hearing that sort of windy scratch. I don't know, maybe you need to unplug. There you go. That's better.
Okay. I didn't do anything.
Okay, you're good now.
Okay, great. Yeah, hi, I'm a staff of Public Lab. I work mainly with the Kits initiative, but in another life, I was also a librarian, so I get really passionate about things like our search functions and how we kind of lay things out and describe them on the site so people can find things. So yeah, that's it for me. And yeah, I'll be taking notes, but also feel free to hop into the chat or the notes document if you want to.
Great, thanks. Liz?
Hi, my name is Liz Barry, and I'm also part of the Public Lab community, and I'm on staff. And in years past, I helped with a lot of the early versions, the interface around the geographic features that are now part of our site. But for the purposes of this call, I'll mostly be supporting screen sharing to try to see whatever you all might want to talk about. Thank you.
Great, and Sagarpreet?
Hello everybody, my name is Sagarpreet and I have been part of Public Lab for almost an year, and I am a computer science graduate, will be soon and graduate, and I am currently in my final year, and happy to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie, you're next.
I'm Stephanie. I worked with Public Lab during the summer with the Rails Girls Summer of Code, and I live in Vancouver, and I'm working as a contractor with Rails and JavaScript and all of that, and I know that I haven't been so active lately, so I thought it would be nice to come here, see if I could help somehow.
Oh, thank you. I see Zengirl next.
Hey, so I'm also a volunteer for Public Lab, not on the website, more just in general. And by the way, I'm really happy to hear about Rails Girls or whatever, because I'm a big tech fan and women in tech fan, so go you for doing that.
Awesome, thank you. Cecilia, I see you next. Do you want to speak? Oh, I think you're muted. I can unmute you if you like, but if we both press at the same time, you'll be muted. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Okay, so I am Cecilia from Nairobi. I'm an organizer of Rails Girls Nairobi, and then I just joined Public Lab as an outreach internship. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And then I'll be working mostly on the statistics page. So if anyone has any input on what would like to see on the statistics page, I'll be I'll be willing to note it down and try as much as I can implement it. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, we're very excited to start that project in the middle of December. Gaurav, I see you next. Or no, I'm sorry, Joe. I didn't want to skip you. Joe, go ahead, please.
Hey, so my name is Joe. I'm the Development and Communications Manager for the Public Lab nonprofit and joined in June. And it's really nice to put faces to so many familiar names.
Thank you. Gaurav, go ahead. Oh, you're muted. Watch out.
Okay. Hi, I'm Gaurav. I am a contributor at Public Lab. I have been contributed to the plots 2 and some other projects for a year now. I like the community. That's why I'm here today.
Thank you. Siddharth, I see you next if you want to speak up. I think you're muted. You may also be joined twice. Oh, there you are. You're unmuted now. Go ahead. I don't hear any sound though, so I think maybe you need to adjust your microphone. If you want to take just a second, I'll circle back to you and we can hear from Liz next. Liz Sylvan.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Oh.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I'm Liz Sylvan and I am a big Public Lab fan, and I was involved in some conversations earlier about user interface, and I have some background in it, so I'm excited to be talking about this topic today and to contribute in any way that I can.
Thank you so much. And Siddharth, if you figured out the microphone issue, you can chime in. Otherwise, I see, oh, you're typing in below. So if you want to hop in on audio, please just send a message. But otherwise, we can move forward. Okay, cool. Well, thanks everyone. I think just to give like a very brief sketch of, stuff on UI over the past, 6 months or more, we've really identified that the Public Lab website functionality has grown a huge amount, really because of all of your contributions. Oh, I see. Siddharth is actually saying that he's been contributing to Public Lab since more than a year. And when I say all of your contributions, obviously, I think Siddharth has been doing a tremendous amount of work on, and is now working on OAuth and subscriptions. But really, everyone here has been a major part of our community and helping move it forward through programs like Rails Girls, Google Code In, Google Summer of Code, Outreachy, so many different ways. So thank you all. One thing that we are trying to do now is sort of take a lot of the functions and the really amazing abilities of the website and make sure that they are actually visible to new people who come to the website, make sure that they're useful and that they work smoothly without bugs, so people don't get frustrated, and so that we really reach out to a much larger group of people around the world who won't be sort of stopped by reaching kind of a roadblock through UI, whether it's because they simply don't know about or can't find a feature that they want, or maybe they do find it, but they don't know how to use it, or they can't get past anything from, the sign-up sequence, or even we have some anti-spam measures, and there's a balance to be struck there to make sure people can get to the site and contribute, but not the spam bots. So we've started a bunch of new projects to look specifically at user interface on different sites, as well as to take a holistic look at the whole site and make sure that when people come to Public Lab for the first time, and when they come back to it, they will feel welcome, they will not feel confused, they will feel like they're being heard, and they'll know how to use the site to get things done that they want. And that's a pretty big challenge. And I just want to say, as we get into the brainstorming, that because so many people come from different backgrounds, different experiences, and also like, not just like whether or not you've used computers or the internet, but actually they're used different ways in different places and by different people. Some people are using it all on a smartphone. Some people are using it over a very fast connection. Some people are using it in different languages. There's so many ways that people are different. So as we brainstorm, it's always good to keep in mind, we're trying to reach a lot of people, specifically people with environmental problems. But there are points where one kind of design decision, will be sort of more specifically for one group, and another one will be more specifically for another group. There doesn't have to be an absolute universal objective answer to the problem. So we may come across things where we have different ideas, and that's reflective of that. So I wanted to open it up, and if you want to either raise your hand in the video or leave a comment in the chat, to start to go around and recognize one of three things. The format will be issues that you've had with the site or that you've noticed someone else had with the site. That means like a problem or a hiccup or just an ambiguity. The second is goals, which is like, I want the Public Lab site to do this for people or for me. Like very broadly, I want it to be, get you to the right answer quite quick. Or narrowly, I want it to be an enjoyable experience. I want it to be friendlier looking or whatever. And then the third one is ideas. And ideas are specific design concepts. So like to maybe the last one, friendlier appearance, you might say, I want there to be more emoji on the site. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. But that would be like an idea for something specific we could do that would achieve a goal or address an issue. So those three things are often combined together, but we're going to try to tackle them as individual things. So you might have one that fits under multiple categories, and that's fine. We'll sort of walk through as we go. I'm going to kick it off with one that I think we've actually mostly solved, and it's a really narrow one, and yours don't have to be really narrow or really wide. Oh, and a question from Liz Sullivan. Yeah, it can connect with the Welcome Page project. Eva, who is working on that project, wasn't able to come today, but is eager to hear about input on the new Welcome Page design that is not yet launched, but has been fully designed and posted on the blog. I was going to note one. We had a really amazing project over the summer to make it, led by Siddharth, to make it possible to log into the website using your Twitter, your Facebook, your Google, or your GitHub login. So you don't have to create a new account. I mean, it sort of happens secretly in the background, but you just appear, you click on one of those icons, and you're pretty quickly just in the site as a full, with a full account. Now, one thing that happened was under that new process, once you were logged back into the site with this new account, you didn't end up on the page that you had begun the login sequence on. And we identified that people were on a blog post, and they click log in with Google or log in with Facebook, and then they end up on a dashboard with a new account. But maybe they had to press back a lot and then refresh the page to get back to where they had started. And Radhika and Siddharth and a few other people teamed up on this issue, came up with a solution to preserve the origin of the login and to leave you back on the page where you started, and that is now live. So that problem, I think, is really solved. And that was a great example of identifying an issue, identifying a goal, that it be sort of seamless and you don't have to think too much about logging in because you might forget the question you had when you wanted to participate in the first place. And then an idea, which was to preserve the origin page as you step through that process and land back in the original spot. So that was a really great one of each. Anyone want to raise their hand and kind of throw one out there? It can be a small one. You don't have to have an answer for it, but feel free to jump in. Leslie, go for it.
Mine's kind of small, but just because I've recently had some contact with SRAP, which is Socially Responsible Agricultural Project, and they were still sort of at a loss of like how to get involved with Public Lab, and I was trying to go, why is that? And I think this is coming more from people that have an environmental issue, so they probably need to write up like a little report about that. So that is on like the front dashboard page, but on the right-hand side where it's listed, the fonts look very normal and small. So it's not clear. Like if I were thinking of a flow chart of like, oh, you have 3 different possibilities on the dashboard. You want to maybe look at a post for a question that's currently up, or you want to post a question, or you want to create one of these reports about an environmental problem you need to explore. I think it's not clear about those other choices, and they're on the right-hand side of the dashboard page right now. So I honestly think that's as simple as enlarging a font to make it very clear that those are 2 other flow patterns you can choose on that page. Right now there's like a double tab where it says like question and wiki, and I guess the page I'm talking about is question on those 2 tabs, but that's a little confusing, I think, and even having those 2 tabs is a little confusing there.
Cool. So that's really great. That includes some very specific issues, like you have a person or a group in mind.
Right.
Maybe got stuck or didn't notice something on the dashboard, and you also have an idea potentially to emphasize with bigger font or different arrangement of columns the dashboard itself, which is a project that I think Eva and maybe someone else as well will be taking on in the next 6 weeks. So that's really excellent input. Do we want to? And I also noted down sort of a goal of just making sure people know how to get involved actually starting on the dashboard. So that's a really great one. Thank you, Leslie.
Mm-hmm. And just also a plus on the people that have all been working on the welcoming pages, so much clearer now. And I do think it is more welcoming. So thanks for that.
That's great. Thank you. We will relay that back to Eva. Cool. Anyone else want to chime in? And actually, Liz, as people are talking, do you want to try opening up the pages people are talking about so we can sort of see the different, the sidebar, for example, on the dashboard?
Yeah, so let me see.
So just a warning, as Liz starts to share the screen, Zoom automatically makes it full screen for everyone, and you can just close the full screen to get control of your computer back.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that. It can appear quite sudden to everyone watching, like all of a sudden the screen changes. And yes, I am actually about to do that. The
other thing is you'll be able to draw on Liz's screen, which is going to be fun. So I think there's like a little pencil icon you can use.
Okay, so let's do it. Share my Google Chrome screen.
Cool.
Okay, so all that stuff should have happened, and now on the dashboard, is it showing that it's sharing to you guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's working well. And if people want to go, there's an annotate menu, or an annotate option in the menu at the top of the page. You have to kind of search a little bit down for it, and then you can sort of see, as I'm doing, drawing or adding mustaches to things, or other useful annotations on the page. Cool. Does someone else want to chime in with an idea or a goal or an issue?
I have one I could show you since I'm up here. Let me stop this one actually again because I need to show you in a incognito tab. Okay. So I'm going to share again. I wanted to share an observation. We're looking at the very lovely / micro page. And I want to share like the excitement that I've seen people get in workshops, and they're like, yes, ask a question. And so here they are with the, ask a question button. And then you click it. Well, you stop annotating first of all. And then you click the button. And This page is actually definitely improved over time, so I want to thank everyone who has improved it. But the messaging here, I feel, is very, it's very proprietary. You, instead of being like, awesome, you want to ask a question, instead it's like, you feel like you've done something wrong. You must be logged in. And I said proprietary because like you have to log in, and then this says join the public lab community. It's like a very, it really emphasizes that. It just really makes you feel like, oh, here's something I'm not a part of. Maybe not a part of yet, and I'm being invited. The access question button is my example. But I think it would apply for almost any of the big inviting blue buttons that are on our website of like post research, ask a question, that we should make this landing page for people who haven't logged in yet really nice. Thanks for listening.
Awesome. And I think Siddharth is working on a project to look at different barriers to signing up across the site.
Ooh.
That might be something that we could highlight there. And I really like that you identified a goal, or sorry, an issue, but also that your idea suggests friendlier language. You know, not that there aren't other ways also to make that a smoother process, but that one really, for programmers, one easy way, well, no, I'm sorry. Not all programmers know how to say things friendly, but I think we're a very friendly community. But it's not a very complicated code change, but it's a relatively complicated language issue. So we'll put that under ideas. Thank you so much. Another way to address that also, I think we have a code-in issue where people are looking at the login page or the sign up page, which is actually more and more the same page, and thinking of different ways to design that. And one thing that came up, I think that someone is working on now, it might be Jonathan Su, but I would have to double check, is a way that that it might appear to simply be logging in and to, in some sense, not even make a thing out of signing up. Because when you're using your Google or Facebook account to do so, there's not a big difference between pressing that button and getting into the site versus taking an extra step to create your own account before you get into the site. Some people or some websites phrase that as log in with Facebook, as opposed to create an account with Facebook. And that, I think, tries to de-emphasize the boundary between in and out of the site.
Huh.
Other people want to chime in here? Okay, cool. Siddharth is saying, yeah, we'll be creating modals. Oh, that's really good. So that's an idea. Modals are a window that pops up in front of the page, sort of darkening the background a bit. And Siddharth is pointing out that we'll be creating modals so that when you are prompted to log in, the page itself may not always need to refresh, but most of the time it would pop up in front of the page, ask you to log in, and then land you back on the same page where you were, which is a pretty neat idea. Thank you, Siddharth.
Some more ideas. One more idea I like to mention is what we can do. We can check from where we are landing on from where we are redirected to the login page. Like if we are redirected from questions page, we can make the alert box more friendly. Like currently, it mentions you must be logged in red. We can make it like appear in an information format, or blue or green success, so it would appear nice. So we can use these small things to solve it for the starters. And we can do the models and the things after, because they would take time of like 1 month to design and all the testing and stuff. So for starters, we can start with the alerts.
That's great. And Gaurav is also pointing out that those little alert boxes that are yellow or green or red, they're actually called success, warning, like the colors are labeled success, warning, or error. And we're, as Liz pointed out, we're actually using a color that is called warning, as if we're like warning people, you must be logged in. So it's a good idea to change the color. Great. Cool. Other people have issues, goals, or ideas to bring up. I wanted to also
There's
note
one
we
in
are trying
chat.
to, oh yeah, is there? Great. Sagarpreet. Go ahead. Geotagging nodes.
Okay, so basically what we do now is that we go to a node, and then there is a button on the right hand side. There is a column where we click, and a type of a screen comes which has a map, and then we add the latitude and longitude, or maybe type the name of the country or anything, and then automatically you will see that latitude and longitude node tags came automatically when we click the submit button, right? So I was hoping to change this, maybe show a map as we show in the profile page, where there is a button like share your location, similar to that we can do in notes and other questions and other notes basically. So I wanted to discuss how to change this UI sequence, basically how to bring people to share their location for a node or a question. So I guess one idea is what I said, maybe add a map with a button on it saying that share the location or share any location, which will contribute to this node. So any ideas?
I started screen sharing without notice to illustrate your point. And is there something do you want to point us at something now that we're looking at the screen?
Okay, so currently okay, so can you open that model screen, the screen,
Yeah.
the map?
Okay.
Okay, so currently this entire location is not working. It's something related to change in the Google API. It's paid now basically, so we have to set up an account and get keys. So you can see when we type, the map is not panning to that location, right? So this is one thing that we have to figure out this summer or this December. And other than that, what I was saying, that when we enter any latitude or longitude coordination, we submit button, we save, we click on save, then yes, so latitude and longitude tags, they come on that node. Yeah, yes. So how to change this, basically how to change this sequence, so that people can easily add these tags, and then a map will come showing this coordinate with a marker on map.
And one suggestion that Sagarpreet made actually is related to what's on the profile page. So if you click on someone's profile page, maybe not mine. Yeah. It's always embarrassing to look at your own profile page. Except for Liz. Liz has, then it just crashes your computer because there's too many animated GIFs.
Yours is pretty embarrassing, Jeff.
Oh, thanks.
You
So
had that like blue person.
Thank you. So, I'm sorry. I guess it's only if you look at your own profile page and you have not added a location, it shows a blank map and a button that says add your location.
Oh, are you in here yet, Bronwyn?
But it only shows it for your own.
Oh.
Because it's supposed to be a prompt to you. So maybe we can't demonstrate this right now, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
But similarly, we could display a map or a small map on each node page, or like some little bigger feature than just this tiny, this tiny.
Oh, okay. I can go back to. So here's a node page.
Yeah, so right now it's, oops. That or she still has a map. Can you scroll down a tiny bit? Sorry.
Like this?
No, just to show the tag area.
Oh, tag area.
Yeah, thank you. So I was gonna just highlight this little thing. It's really the only prompt we're making right now to add a location, and that's pretty tiny. Maybe we need to put an arrow across the page. So I, in terms of ideas to note down here, I think different ways to attract people's attention to add a location to their own notes. Another thing that I think someone had discussed on the site was to have it, when you post a response to a page, then it, or like a replication of it or something like that, then it would preserve the location from the origin page. But it might confirm with you. It might say, your post in the editor, your post has been tagged with this location. You could clear the location if it's not accurate, or you can refine it. Maybe I don't want to be in Providence, but I want to be next to Providence or something, so I could move the map around or something. Anyway, just different ideas. We have a few backed up here now, so let's circle back. Siddharth is identifying an issue that the dashboard is too messy, and that we have activity, questions, wiki, etc. We need to make it more understandable to new users or new people joining the site. I think that's a really good one.
Okay, great. Give me a moment to go over there and do screen share again.
And this actually will be one of the things that Eva will be working on in the coming 6 weeks. Great. Siddharth, did you want to, okay, you said, there's also, is this a separate issue about the mobiles and tablets? So if people have ideas about the dashboard and the organization of the dashboard, we can take some good notes here and pass them on to Eva, who will be tackling this problem.
One of the things that I've noticed with the dashboard is that if there's sort of a post that's just having a lot of activity, each comment will sort of populate as a new post. So you have sort of a list of kind of 1 or 2 word kind of responses going back and forth that sort of pushes everything else. And I wonder if there's a time to maybe consolidate comments so so that they don't quite kind of take up the same space that a question or a research note or a wiki might.
That's great. I'm putting that down in both issues and in.
We could do something, you know, like if it's a conversation that's really hot, you know, it's got a bunch of recent activity on something, maybe we can put, you know, a little star or an indication that this is sort of active and keep it near the, you know, keep it sort of current in the results.
Yeah.
Without, you know, without all the plus ones.
And Leslie likes that idea. I also like that idea. Those comments take up a lot of space for a relatively small amount of content. Cool. Liz, you're still screen sharing, but thank you.
Sorry, I got excited. I totally see what you mean now, but I never noticed that before. But look, this is all, like these 4 here, whoops, the top 4 are all the same activity on the same note.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Awesome. So let's see, we have It's going up again. Liz Sylvan had one about notifications. Did you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thanks. And thank you. Also, I see that Siddhar, you posted something about the issue. I'll put my thoughts on the GitHub issue as well, but I didn't see what I was thinking in that issue, so I'm just going to continue. Is it okay if I share my screen to show? Okay,
Yes.
So that's what I'm going to do then. So just share this. Okay, so assuming everyone can see this little screenshot from my Gmail. What you see is that when you get a notification right now, this is what it looks like. And it's really jarring because you don't know that it's from Public Lab. And it's also, it's not written in kind of a standard manner. So sometimes it says Public Lab in brackets, which I like. But like the first simple fix would just be to change the name to be Public Lab Notifications. You know, because if it's coming up in my Gmail and I have a whole list of names of people who are writing me or email lists, and then one of them's notifications, I don't know what that means. And then a lot of times when you open up the email notification, it just says, well, somebody tagged it, and it doesn't really make it very actionable about how you might get involved in it. And I think the notifications are a great way to remind people to get back involved with Public Lab. I love that, you know, if someone's signing up to be pushed information, presumably they really care about it. So I think thinking about ways at the top of the notification to make them actionable, like you could, you know, and it would depend a little bit on what type of notification is, because so if it's a lot of times what I get it is from Liz tags somebody to something, and that's not something where I probably would take an action. But if it's something like a question, or you know, something that's a more substantive post, and it's something I know about, I might want to come back. I might want to be reminded to come back and do something on the site. So I think that might be, I think the first like low-hanging fruit is just change the name to be Public Lab Notifications for the sender, and then thinking about how to make the subject, the second thing would be how to make the subject line more readable, so that maybe it tells you what you're following. And then the third thing would be on the top of this, of the content of the notification, to kind of put something that's more actionable, because the way it's written now, you don't really know what you might do with it. And then I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Actually, yeah, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. And I did look at the notification issue, and I think I liked what, there were some suggestions there to, you know, get notified in whatever way you like to get notified. If you like to use Twitter or email and stuff, I think that's great. And I think as we think about how we might do a notification, we'll want to think about, you know, formatting by the different sites. So, you know, people have different expectations about what posts should be like on Twitter. You're not going to have all those details about, you know, the bottom of the notifications on email basically has like a mailing list like thing about subscribing and unsubscribing, which is great. It should be there. But if you're adding other ways of being notified, it might not. You might not want to do it the same way. You probably don't want to do it the same way. So I'll pause for a sec and see if anything I said isn't making sense.
That's really great, Liz, and I really appreciate it. Your screenshot in particular really highlighted how many times, even, for example, the word Public Lab, it's like 3 times in each line, because I think it was written maybe at 3 different moments or whatever, and no one had circled back until you did to take a holistic look at like, what does one row of your inbox look like getting email? So I think we can really run with that one and take it back to, there's different types of alerts, and we can make them show up differently, have different names, have different, and make sure it doesn't say public lab 3 times, and then also have some sort of actionable thing. The thing about the tagging, this is a little odd, but when you get an email that says someone has tagged this as balloon mapping, that's actually because the post went up a long time ago, but someone has now tagged it to something that you are now following. And we do a little bit of sort of smart something to make sure that you don't get notified over and over. Like, it knows if you've been notified before based on a different tag or topic, but it's still like, we didn't know how to phrase that. And I like the input of making it more actionable. So in this case, I'm thinking about Siddharth's project potentially, but maybe others as well. You're presumably already following the tag if you're getting that email, but maybe there's some other action we could prompt people to take when they get an email of that kind, rather than just, hey, might be interesting,
Yeah, I think that's great. And when I post to the GitHub issue, I'll include that graphic. You reminded me that there was something else I noticed about notifications. I don't entirely, excuse me, I don't entirely understand. Like, you can get notified if someone has a question about something. There's different kind of notifications, and I don't understand the distinctions or what I will be receiving. Oh, excuse me. Based on the words that are on the page, and it's because that it's still messy on the other end. It just makes it. I can't backwards. I can't kind of reverse engineer what it is based on the responses that I get either.
Yeah, it's true. Liz, did you want to respond to that, or you responded to Siddharth's note?
Oh yeah, I was just being supportive, Liz, in the chat. I totally get what you're saying, but like, no, okay, so now you're getting these emails and it's not totally obvious, like, what you had done to get them, or maybe what you should do to not get them. I get that. And I also do see that Siddharth's point, whenever we are ready, Siddharth actually was going to continue on the dashboard topic.
And
sorry about that.
Urjit, who I haven't pronounced your name before, so correct me, please, if I have that wrong, but Urjit has been contributing as part of Google Code-In. Oh, but yeah. And so if you want to introduce yourself, we've all kind of gone around already and say hello. Welcome to the call. But no, you don't have to. You can also just listen in. Great. Well, if you want to unmute at some point, go ahead and say hello. Otherwise, we can sort of keep going. Just to recap a little bit, we're about 47 minutes into the hour, and we're going around and sort of identifying issues that we've found around the website. A lot of them are very narrow, detailed ones, which are really important because, for better or worse, in user interface, the smallest issue can stop someone from using the website, even if it seems like a tiny detail. It's critical. And we're outlining goals we'd like to highlight for people and for the website, and ideas for how to address some of them. Siddharth has created an issue for Liz Sylvan's suggestion, so that's really great.
Hi, I would like to I want to give a suggestion about the emails part. What we have started a settings page sometime before as a part of my GSOC project. It has some of the settings, like 5 settings. 3 settings are general settings and 2 are for digest settings. Digest project which hasn't been deployed to the production, but due to some complications. But I guess we can finish that digest project in this summer, in summer 2019. now what we can do regarding subscriptions is we can make changes to the node subscriptions. We can start subscribing people to the nodes. And if I remember correctly, Vidit and I have added designs, email designs in our GSOC proposals, which show interactive emails. What we both have done is we have put inline CSS instead of like generalizing CSS in classes or using external CSS. We put inline CSS so the content will remain intact. So we can make emails more interactive and put more buttons and like Facebook sharing options by doing this too. Third point is
Hold on a second, Gaurav. Should I do any
Yeah.
screen sharing to illustrate your point?
No. Just third point is about the we have also started comment moderation project. So now the moderators would be getting some more emails because they have to now moderate comments too. So that's up to admins now who would be comment moderators and whose burden is going to go up.
Yeah, and we managed to make a slight change. So there is a second email address called comment moderators, which I think initially could go to the same people, but the idea was to make it possible to divert some of the moderation tasks to a different group or a slightly different group, you know, to try to mitigate the overload you get from being a moderator. So that's something to note there. Great. Thank you. Urjit mentions that they're a Google Coding student and they're excited to join the call. Thank you very much. We're very pleased to have you. I'm tempted to talk more about notifications. I know that there is an issue open somewhere for a different type of notification, which is more like how Slack or chat notifications show up, that you can sort of swipe away. And there's some initial work to do to accomplish that, but I think that's probably going to be a longer term project. So I'm tempted to sort of refocus back a bit onto geography. We're just working on the comments moderation task. Thank you. That's very exciting to hear. And thank you so much for your contribution. So maybe someone who has worked with different community partners across Public Lab could sort of, and more than one are welcome to chime in, but try to briefly explain how regional organizing might be supported by the website. You know, if you think about environmental issues that affect a region.
Just really fast, I'm hearing huge noises right now, and I don't know if anybody else is having a hard time hearing.
Oh, okay, I think.
It's from me and Bronwyn, sorry about that.
I'm sorry, I'm going on mute.
Okay, thank you. I was just saying, if someone wanted to sort of briefly introduce, and more than one person can give their perspective on this, but a sense of how we aspire for the site to be useful for people to organize regionally. And that might inform some of the ideas and goals we have and issues on the geographic features in the site. But just very broadly. Stevie, by the way, welcome to the call. How's it going? Do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. I'm really sad I missed most of this. I had another commitment, but I'm really glad this conversation's happening. I work with Public Lab and as outreach director, and this stuff is really important to me anyway.
Well, thanks for joining us here. Cool. Someone want to chime in on that?
Sorry, can you say the question again, Jeff?
Oh, sure. Yeah, just give like a brief fairly high level idea or like, you know, broad goal for how people might organize regionally on the site? You know, like someone might come to the site and then what? Like what would be a sort of a rough sequence that you might imagine? Liz Barry, Stevie, I mean, feel free to jump in here.
Leslie.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just going to go back to my example of socially responsible agricultural projects. So right now we have an organization that is desperately trying to help people dealing with factory farm issues. And I think what they would like to do is maybe experiment with tools, but they have people located across the US. So I already, like, my ears lit up hugely when you were already discussing the idea of hitting, you know, GPS locations, even if approximate, because if we can start to show people that there are people around the world going through issues, then they can organize. So I'm already excited about, hey, could we even have a map on the first page to just show people where the hottest issues are occurring, so people don't feel alone. I'm almost treating this like people are currently in what I'll say is the, you know, social health organization area right now, where people are experiencing, say, depression or mental illness, and they just need to know they're not the only ones out there. And I bet you Stevie's laughing because a long time ago I wanted things to be more lighthearted, and boy, am I getting more serious in my old age here at Public Lab. So I think if I were a social responsible agricultural project, I would immediately want to go, who else is here that either is already having the same issue or needing help with tools to investigate the issue. So by having the map feature, that would be great. Then can we take it a step further? Now, how do I communicate with these people? Maybe some people don't want, you know, for issues of possible lawsuits, some people may be involved with, they may want to remain anonymous. That may make it difficult for people to communicate on here. But I think my next realm of what I'd be looking for is how can we make it easier for people to connect here? And I think we brought that up early with the website previously when we had these conversations. But I know we have a chat room, but even that isn't easy to arrange people across different time periods. So I'm like, what is the easiest way to get people to communicate across time periods so that they can work together? That's it.
Thank you, and that was really great. We slotted in some of the different things you brought up into issues, ideas, and we could probably break it down a little bit more as well. The idea of a map on the front page or on the dashboard, I think, is a good one. Stephanie, I think, has to go pretty soon, but wanted to chime in with a comment about user experience before leaving the meeting. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello there, new people. But yeah, I think that overall, UX is a really complex thing. That's why, for example, Airbnb has a huge team of designers, researchers. So that's not an easy thing, and that's not something that you can accomplish in a few months. Especially because you need to get into the mindset of the user, right? And usually for developers, that is kind of hard because we don't learn that as an important skill. We usually learn that, you know, developers do this and designers do that. But in the middle, there is something called, for example, design system. And I can share some links with you that kind of helps me as a developer. And when I mentioned about Airbnb, they have some public contents that I use for my projects. So instead of having to reinvent the wheel, I go there and I see what they do. So they already had done all the research, and I only apply what they studied on my projects. That was what I tried to do on the search, but there were a lot of other things in the back. But what I would like to say is that Airbnb Medium may be also a good place to search for examples before start coding, because usually when you code and then you think on the UX, usually the user don't understand because they weren't supposed to be different things, right? So that's it. I have to go now, but if I can help with anything else, you can send me an email. I'm usually more active on my email, and I will send the links here.
Yeah, thank you so much. We've been collecting some resources on user interface and user experience on publiclab.org/UI. And I think that's one place that potentially we could collate some of these and collect them up. So thank you so much. Liz, did you want to jump in on with an idea about a map of all Public Lab content?
Yes, as Leslie was talking just before Stephanie, I feel like the first part about what she was saying, where people want to come and see, well, Leslie, I think, was saying, you know, who is where, who's already speaking up and maybe interested in getting started on something. And I'm also interested in seeing who's also asking questions about this place. What research have we done nearby? And there's just, thanks to all the amazing work that's gone into geographic features over the last 2 or so years, I feel like it's possible. And I personally go around and I add a lot of location tagging to nodes. And I'm excited about the map where we see it together. And I guess I was wondering if we could just put it at like publiclab.org/map. And there's, I don't know, I guess maybe there's probably issues with like too much information. But I'm definitely interested in that. And then like to Leslie's other points about like, okay, now people see it, you know, what's the communication and the connecting strategy? Who starts talking to who? You know, does a lot of area inactivity mean that you can message people who are all posting in a certain area? You know, that is, I totally accept that that's like next level. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz Sylvan, for joining. Siddharth is noting that I also agree upon too much information in a very small area in many places at Public Lab. I think maybe that also, so that's a real challenge that we're facing. And I think Eva, who wasn't able to join us today, will be looking at some of these design challenges around there being different places where different maps show different content. And I think there's also a really good question about how do people get to those pages and how might they be interlinked. So we have, just to recognize an issue, there's, here, I'll just write it as I'm going. There's places, there's people. Sorry, publiclab.org/places, publiclab.org/people, and publiclab.org/maps. And I'm probably forgetting some. And each of those shows a different kind of content on a map, but they're not sort of interlinked. And you know, you could ask a question, maybe they ought to be the same map with different layers, or maybe they shouldn't. They should also be on your dashboard or on the front page or whatever. So that's an interesting one. Sagarpreet, I'd like to hear from you partially.
Okay.
You've been working on maps a lot.
Right. Okay. So I was thinking of adding, you know, in the navigation bar, basically only for maps, a button only for maps, where, you know, when we will hover over that button, we can we can show a list of all the places where we have different kind of maps. For example, we can show people maps and you know, and all the maps. /maps is you know, another thing, another place on Public Lab where we show different kind of data, different from people's map, right? So a kind of a button on the navigation bar, if that would be, you know, makes life simpler. You know, kind of integrate all the maps at one place.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. And Siddharth also chimes in, not just for maps, but also including maps, interlinking the different categories. like activities, wiki, research maps. So I think there's a lot of work we can do to maybe to recognize pathways to an interface, as well as there being an interface for a certain kind of information. And then also what you might call like horizontal navigation between different types.
Can I ask a question about that? I guess hearing this explanation, I realize we do have these maps like in different parts of the site for specific content, but can we, in addition to linking them and directing us to where those are, can we get can we actually get more of the different types of content showing up together in one place with a lot higher limit of how much stuff is shown on a map? Like it's possible that the map at /people only shows 10 if you don't zoom in. And that one in particular, it doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel like the best picture or an accurate picture. So I guess it's multiple types on one map. And what about the limit of number?
Yeah, actually, I think that one is depending on the magnitude, I guess, it's probably easy enough that we could just put that under ideas rather than issues, because I think we could just say, let's display 50 at a time, or let's display 100 at a time. And I don't think that would have an adverse effect on the database. If, Liz, you're talking about showing thousands at a time, then that starts to be something where we'd have to think more creatively about it. But I think that's still plausible. Do you want to, if you can refine the sort of magnitude, then we could file that and probably make an issue to have that changed, because I think it's just one line of code, right?
Is there a way to make it that you see the limits based on how far you're zoomed on the map, and then like if the limit's 1,000, you see the most recent 1,000, and then as you zoom in, you know the most recent of that zoomed level?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I think it is already currently showing the limit for the current unit.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Hi. So currently what happens is that the map that is we view only we fetch data for only that much portion on the map, right? So basically the rectangle that we see, only that much information we fetch from the internet, from the API. So that is what we are doing currently with most of the layers. And regarding that was a very good point from this. What we do now is that we show all the layers at all the places. So basically if we go to people map, or if we go to profile map anywhere, we can choose different layers. That is what we are trying to do. We can show the question layer that we are working on or maybe the sky truth, or maybe any layer. So I was thinking of making people know that there is a button on the map. When we hover over that, we can change layers. So I guess many people do not know that, right? So I guess we have to think of an idea so that people know that there is a button, and when you hover you can see things. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Sagarpreet.
Love
And Siddharth has been writing in with a good bit of ideas, mentioning that users find difficulty in understanding what different types are. So many websites have a pop-up for new users which indicate which kind of features we have. Maybe kind of a little tour or tips. GitHub, whenever it introduces a new feature, it also introduces a tutorial for new users. We could incorporate that. As soon as a person comes, to the tutorial, the prompt no longer shows. Leslie, did you want to chime in? You had one in the chat as well.
Oh, I just mentioned that for the idea of what I'm talking about in the beginning, if someone came to our page and happened to see this map that shows like maybe what some of the hot interests / notes are location wise, that they could also be color coded so that those waypoints or pinpoints are actually color coded to match our Google groups. So if somebody's having an air quality issue or water quality issue, the color of that tab would, not tab, but point would help indicate what that problem is. So it's easier to find people having your same issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. I think the idea of displaying different topical areas on a map is something. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks who are working on code, but I don't think we've attempted that. Is that right? So that's a really good one. And then there's a conversation in the chat going on about sort of pop-ups and tutorials around the site and different tours, website tours. I think that's a very good one. Do folks have other ideas they want to share or issues?
I have a question about the tours, like tours and tutorials and things like that. Are there any, well, I guess it's always been, it takes a lot of time to make those, basically. And when, I mean, because of everyone here, you know, your work here, those of you who are here, you work so fast and things change a lot. A tutorial for something that is going to exist less than 6 months, it kind of doesn't end up rising to the top of my list, for one. So I guess I just wanted to open up this as like sort of like a possible brainstorm space, problem space. No one specifically making tutorials, actually, and then features do change pretty fast. But there must be better ways to do it because we're not doing it at all now. So I don't know what you guys think.
Just a note about the time. We started about 10 after the hour, so we are about 10 after the hour now. So we may want to begin to wrap up the recording, and we're welcome to stay on the call as long as folks want, I think. I'm happy to leave the line open. We don't have to shut down right now, so we can have a little bit more of a conversation, but I'll probably chime in the next 5 minutes and say we're going to close up the recording. Orchid, did you want to unmute and speak up, or if not, if you do want to, please go ahead now. If you don't, I can read it out loud. Okay, so I'll go ahead and read it, and feel free to interrupt me. I think for website tours, Urjit writes, we can use modals to introduce different sections of the site. We can add that kind of thing, and it would work when the new user comes to the site for the first time. And I want to maybe point out one thing. I don't know that I have an answer. I hear what Liz is saying, that writing a tour or a tutorial does take a lot of time. Google Code-In happens only once per year, and we could ask Google Code-In students like Orjit to make a tutorial for different features around the site, but that would only be a strategy we could use during November and December of each year, when that many people show up. The one thing just to note is we've been doing a lot of this during the code-in period, is asking people to post an animated GIF of a new feature that they have just written on the website as part of their submission of the code. And I wonder if those animated GIFs, I mean, they're not, some of them are really, really beautifully made. Some of them are just quick, just to show the feature, and that's fine too. If we could reuse some of those animated GIFs in a very low work way, I don't know exactly how that would look. Maybe you'd click and it would pop up and just play an animated GIF, but or with a little bit of extra text or something. But people are making the animated GIFs, and I think that's pretty cool. Maybe that's some small way to approach that. And thank you, Urjit, for chiming in. I think that's really useful to hear from you. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you, everybody. We can keep talking. So, but it's been really great to hear everyone's ideas, and I think we've identified a bunch of issues. I think we should really keep our ears open as we use the site and as we watch other people use the site. One thing that everyone can do, you know, whether you're a coder or not, is actually watch a friend or a family member use the website and just take a few notes. It's very surprising. As someone who's been working on this code for over 10 years, I'm always surprised and humbled by doing something with someone else that I thought I just never even thought of, you know, and I think it's always a wonderful way to learn about our own work and how we can do better. So, but don't be defensive. Just, that's why you do it with a family member. All right, thanks everyone. We'll keep the line open. I'm stopping the recording.